we already know what we know, but sometimes we just need to listen. I was on Facebook today. I grew up in Ohio. I attended a predominantly white high school, Stebbins High School. And I had a particular Facebook friend, one of my old classmates, that I had to cut loose. I had to unfriend him today. He had posted this post about a quote from Bill Cosby, but it's been challenged. Probably isn't a quote from Bill Cosby. Somebody just said a lot of things about black folks and attributed the words to Bill Cosby, and they're affirming this thing. And there was some truth to it as far as the substance. Talking about the youth today, the black youth not being able to speak proper English and standing on the street corners, a lot of babies born out of wedlock, and just a lot of disparaging comments about black folks. And of course I took offense. I'm not one of those people that they were talking about, and really no one in my family is, but I did take offense. And the offense that I take, and I take often, is because we're not the only ones. And so often when you find these comments being posted or comments being made or innuendos as far as black folks, and even like welfare and recipients and all kinds of things, that, well, the reality is this is really about all folks. There are more white folks on welfare. I think everybody knows that. But I came here from Bangor, Maine. My father was stationed here. This is why we came to Ohio. And I'd never been really in this part of the country before. The closest I'd been was like Kansas, Junction City, Kansas, when my father was in Vietnam. And so I'd never really seen anything. I really didn't know people from Kentucky or Appalachia, or Tennessee, West Virginia, and all that. And so when we came here, it was quite a culture shock. I had never seen an outhouse before, really. And there were so many of them, like all through Fairborn and all. And so when I went to school with the country folks, Valley Street, and so I've seen a lot of white folks that can't speak proper English. I've seen a lot of white folks that don't dress quite right. I've seen quite a few white folks that have had babies out of wedlock and drug use and abuse and all. And so what I have come to realize is that it's everybody. These negativities it's a human thing. That in every race, in every society, you're going to find people that choose to be sort of in a rebellious or anti-establishment type behavior. And sometimes, like we found maybe in Oakland in the mid and late 60s and early 70s and all, that is necessary to have sort of a counter-culture mindset, even if it's nothing more than for the sake of survival. The Oakland police, for example. Field Day on the people, Black Panthers were born to protect the citizens. And the Afro, the Black Beret, Black Power, and all that was sort of a counter-establishment, sort of giving pride and respect, self-respect to a people that had been oppressed for so long. But we find these counter-establishment, rebels in every society, in every group, all through history. And so we see white kids today with their pants down. We see white criminals. We see it's not a question of white or black. It's just the reality of an economic structure, and certain folks at a certain level function in a certain way. Okay. And so I took issue with this guy. Man, I did this long post, expressing my views and all. And I have a lot of white friends, but I had to say a lot of things that might could be taken negatively by white folks, and I felt mad. So finally I went back and I deleted my post, but I unfriended this guy because I don't need this guy dragging me into this negativity. I had another guy out in California that I had to unfriend as well. This was a few months ago when Obama won last time. Now, I had met this guy. Well, I was interviewed on internet radio about Herman Cain when Herman Cain threw his hat into the ring during the previous election. And I was, telling it like I saw it, as far as Herman Cain was. And this guy chimed in, challenging me, a white guy from California. And we ended up eventually to be cool, sort of Facebook friends, but this was still during the process of the election, the second election, so we were always, he's posting this, I'm posting that, and we're debating this and debating that, and that was cool. But then after the election, after Obama had won, this guy was just continuing, sending these posts and ragging on the administration, ragging on Obama. I'm like, I don't need this right now. I mean, I don't mind a good argument. That's fun, a good competition, even a good fight or a good game or something. But after it's over, why keep fighting? I told him, I don't want to go there. We spent all this time during the election debating and arguing, and that was cool, that was fun. But I'm not going to do this for the next 4 years. And he still wanted to continue. Finally, I had to unfriend that guy as well. And that's what I'm presenting to you today is something that you might want to consider as unfriending some folks, okay? Because there's a lot going on in this nation. There's a lot riding on how you view yourself and the conflicts that you allow yourself to get involved in. Because you already won. What I mean is, as African Americans in this nation, we've been at a loss for hundreds of years in this nation. And then when injustice arises and things that aren't quite right and we complain about it, how many times have we heard the old phrase, love it or leave it, And as well, giving the impression that this is your imagination, those things aren't really going on today. And so we had a particular image of society and of ourselves and how this really wasn't our land or our country. We were second-class citizens in their eyes. So we had Obama. And Obama was very important. As many of you know, I'm not political. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I really don't care. Some of you know I'm a minister, and so I have other things that I have to deal with, that I'm trying to deal with, the issues that people have and the plights of a community and the lives of individuals as well. But I saw Obama as a way, at least for a particular segment of our society, the young people, to begin to see something that we never saw. A black man can rise to the highest echelons of authority in this nation, to the highest to the highest and most powerful office on this planet, the presidency of the United States. Something that we never had. And so the GOP made it quite simple by giving no challengers, or challengers that were not quite up to where Barack Obama was intellectually and coolnessly. It just had a sense about him and a steadiness about him. And even as he's been president, proving himself, taking out the terrorists. You don't want to be a terrorist while Obama is president, that's for sure. They were claiming, as he was running for president, even Hillary and those that were running against him in the Democratic primary and then against the Republicans in both elections, that he was too soft, that terrorists would have a field day. I guess he turned that around. You don't hear that very often. You even find John McCain and Lindsey Graham kind of supporting Obama at times in his position toward terrorists and military things, the drones. But so we can take pride in that. We can recognize not just a pride that we see a black man that's doing something wonderful. You should be. He's a credit to his race. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a reality to all of us that there is really no limit. The only limitation we have are the limits that we put on ourselves, and that even racism has no power except the power that you allow. We see that. We saw this. So to me, with Obama running in the first election and then being president all that 4 years and then running in the second election, being president thus far and as he will continue, and all the negativity, the disparaging remarks, the disrespect, all the negativity that he's received from fellow American citizens in this nation, and disrespect is a blessing to us. To see that no matter what is thrown at you, you can still prevail. I was thinking today how it would have been had he not won this second election, and it would have been bittersweet. The fact that he was there the first time, but then he didn't make it the second time, could have been a fluke, and that's the way they would have spun it. But he's going to walk out of here undefeated, 2-0 for real. And so we can recognize then for ourselves that there is a wellness about us that we may not have realized that we had, that there is unlimited potential before us, or whatever limitations we have are no different than anyone else's. The limitations that we impose on ourselves, and unfortunately the limitations that we impose upon our children, okay? But we're okay. We have to consider, I was considering the Trayvon Martin case that's going through the court, the proceedings right now. We brought this up in one of our last programs. As far as how he was dressed and how he was carrying himself, and maybe he was innocent and he was taken down wrongfully. But I'm suggesting that his dress, his outfit and all, and there's nothing wrong with a hoodie. There's nothing wrong with maybe letting your pants sag. I mean, as far as to die for, I mean, this is America. We have constitutional rights, But what's important to us? My son, as I mentioned, I love to mention my children in my programs. My son graduated from UC last year, and he's in management in a major corporation, and he's moving his way up. Now, when he was in school, he was never really a person that wore those sagging clothes. And I talked to him one day, because he was away from home. I mean, we were here. He was in Cincinnati. And he said, well, I tried those sagging clothes for about a week, Dad, but I just didn't like the way they looked. I wanted to look sharp. He liked to wear his clothes. He's built. He's small, kind of built, but he's muscular. And so he likes to wear those tight clothes. You know how the young people are today. Some of them. And so he likes to look good with his hair tight and sharp and clothes right and nice clothes. And the sagging thing just didn't work for him. And he's doing well in the real world now that he's out of school. And I'm suggesting that, so he had an opportunity, he had a choice, so we have these choices. And so I'm suggesting that maybe we need to begin imparting into our children maybe a little bit of sense. I know our children have their own particular mindset. They have their own, especially when they get a certain age and they get away from home, they can do what they want. But how you carry yourself in their presence. I remember a few years back at the high school, Dunbar High School, there was a riot down there, and I just happened to be on the premises when that riot went down. And the police came on, and they shut down the whole place, and I intentionally made sure and got onto the property so I would be shut in, because I wanted to observe. Being a minister in the detention center and in the inner city, I wanted to see what was going on, so I made sure I was on the property when the police were closing in. I could have gotten out, but I wanted to get hemmed in there so I could see what was happening. These kids were like acting crazy. But then as I was sitting there, in time I was beginning to notice the parents. They were beginning to hear the news broadcast and recognize there was something going on at this school. So the parents started showing up, concerned parents about their children. And when I saw the parents showing up and how they were dressed and how they were acting, I mean, the kids, they didn't have nothing on their parents. And I realized this is where these kids were getting a lot of their attitudes from their parents. Now, so we're parents, we're in a different generation, but we still have a rebellious tendency to us at times, and rebellious against the police, rebellious against the man, rebellious against the establishment and all. And so we need to begin to consider the image that we're portraying before our kids and what kind of effect it's having on them. And how will they be when they leave our grasp, when they leave our clutches, we could avoid a lot of the negativity. Now, I'm not saying, see, a lot of times you have black folks that are always concerned what white folks are thinking. And so they get embarrassed and they don't want white folks to see. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying look at this like a strategy. Look at life like a strategy and what it is that you're trying to accomplish and how you have to be, what you have to do to get what you want. I don't mean sucking up. I mean, some of our values, some of our clothes, some of the things that we embrace, that we think is okay, really isn't okay. And the idea of it is a damaging effect to our children. I'm just suggesting today that there are a lot of things that we need to cut out. Now I'm talking about how I had to unfriend those folks. There are black folks as well that have to be unfriended. I had to unfriend a black friend recently just because there was some chaos being stirred up and chaos that I didn't want to be a part of. We have to get ready to cut loose some folks. There are black folks as well that don't want you to be well. There are black folks as well that I don't know what kind of issue, negativity, self-esteem issues, but they want to really sort of like side with white folks against black folks. Now that post that Bill Cosby supposedly put out, I don't know if that's by him or if it was fictive. Somebody made that up. And we all have our reasons for doing what we do. I know his son was killed by a criminal while he was changing a tire one night. And so, however, that emotional pulls on an individual, I don't know. I can't even imagine. But the reality is there are things that we need to cut loose. We need to attach ourselves to the things that are positive and cut loose the things that are not. Cut loose the things that would attempt to drag us down. So that Trayvon Martin case going on, and it's got a lot of people up in arms. We've got people on both sides, pro Zimmerman, pro Trayvon, wanting Zimmerman to be freed, wanting Zimmerman to go to jail. But none of us were there. I don't know. Who knows what really happened? And we all think we know, emotionally. But as far as Trayvon is concerned, could anything that his parents have done could have avoided what went down? Maybe how he was raised or his value system, even the clothes that he was wearing. I know clothes shouldn't mean anything. They talk about women, they talk about women and women, certain women might get attacked and things happen to them. And maybe they were wearing a short, tight miniskirt or whatever. And the folks are saying, it shouldn't matter what she's wearing. You're right, but I have a daughter. And I'm not willing to stand on that argument when she gets older. Well, she should have been able to wear whatever she wanted to wear. Come on now, really? I'm like, that's fine for an argument, in class. But as far as someone actually getting harmed over wearing certain kind of clothes, I'm not going to go to L.A. I was born in Los Angeles. I left there as a very young person. My father was in the military, so I don't remember L.A. as a kid. But I understand the Crips and the Bloods, with the blue bandana and the red bandana and all. And there should be nothing wrong with me wearing whatever kind of bandana I want. I used to wear bandanas, back in the 70s and 80s and all. But I'm not going to go walking down the street in L.A. just wearing any kind of bandana simply because it's my right to wear whatever I want to wear. Would you? Would you be walking through, Crip territory or whichever one, wearing the wrong bandana, or the Blood territory wearing the wrong bandana just because it's your constitutional right and you should be able to wear whatever you want to wear? No. Because people respond to that stuff. Now, if I was wearing like a blue bandana and I was walking through Blood territory, and I'm not even a Crip or a Blood, I'm just a guy from Ohio, right? Just on vacation. And do you believe that it's okay to do that? Now, you should say, yes, it's okay, because this is America. But you're like, you shouldn't do that because, it might just not be wise for you to do for your health and all that, right? That's all I'm saying. We just need to look critically. We have right now an open door to a wellness that black folks have not experienced in this nation since this nation's inception. Since the first blacks were brought here, I believe in around 1629 or so. We need to recognize that although the door is open, although the ceiling has been destroyed, the potential is unlimited in our life except for what we limit ourselves. That there are going to be people that are going to be trying to drag us down with illusions, with no power, sort of like trying to tempt us and taunt us into losing, what we have and all, or what the potential that we have. So don't let folks do that, okay? I'm just saying, like I had these folks were making all these disparaging remarks on that Bill Cosby post to black folks, and we were getting sucked in, and I was getting sucked in. Until I realized what was going on. Why am I allowing this to happen? And first maybe begin to examine, why are they saying these things? Because they don't like what's going on. And they recognize there is no more power, but anybody they can lure away from the potential of greatness, they will, even if it's with a fictitious or an illusionary comment. Just remember that. Trayvon Martin, let's just keep ourselves, I pray for his family. I can't imagine, losing a son like that. And as well, Zimmerman's family, imagine the reality of if he did do something that heinous, that feeling of a family, or if he didn't and he ends up getting convicted, that feeling of a family member. So nobody wins. We just need to learn enough of the situation to recognize how to avoid ourselves or our children getting involved in situations like that. Begin to watch the clothes that we wear. Come on. We need to recognize that. We need to recognize that for sure. As well, the immigration issue. Now this is basically to all, this message is to all humans, but this program, Listen, is directed toward black folks, urban consciousness revitalization, because we need to get our minds together. This is a chance that we need to just be well, okay? And so that's what we're talking about today, immigration. Talk about immigration all the time. There was a post today on Facebook. It was my day off, I'm at home, and I'm on Facebook today just looking at some stuff, and man, everybody's mad. So they're talking about immigration. I think there was a post with like Jeff Foxworthy, the comic, making these statements, and of course they're sort of from the conservative right, talking about idiots in government and all. And I'm like, this guy's a comic. This guy's like a court jester, and he's talking about people being idiots and all. And so you realize that there is a lot of anger out there. But he's talking about immigration especially, and he was ragging on illegal aliens and blah. And I'm like, man, you are the descendant of murderous and thieving immigrants. And you're calling these folks illegal immigrants. And I thought that was quite interesting. And so he was talking about how America had been blessed. And if we're going to lose the blessing because of some of the choices we're making today. And I'm like, has America really been blessed? We've genocided Native Americans, genocided millions of Native Americans, and God has blessed that. We enslaved Africans for hundreds of years. God has blessed that. The fact is, America is a nation in its adolescence. You have nations on this planet that are thousands of years old. So to determine that this nation is blessed when we're simply an adolescent, it's a little early for that. And I might even suggest looking at some of the tragedies that have befallen this nation, both at the hands of men and nature. If you want to talk about blessings of God, some of them might be divine warnings that it might behove us to be aware of. So no, as far as the immigration issue, as far as black folks go, I've seen this, and we do get caught up in the talking about them and the illegal immigrants and all that. Don't do that. This is again trying to get sidetracked. Right now, black folks in this nation are on a positive trajectory. And President Obama is leading the way. And I'm speaking in terms of a sort of an emotional, sort of a spiritual, sort of just a reality that we are more okay than we ever thought we were. There is a positive trajectory. But there is this thing called karma. And that is part of the positive. No matter what negativity came against President Obama, no matter what kind of information was dug up, where it was the Reverend Wright, where it was cocaine, whether it was this or that, whatever they were trying to dig up, none of it stuck because the motivations were not correct. There is a thing called karma. What goes around does come around. And so as African Americans, when you are the victim, when you are the victim in a nation, you have positive karma. You know, I know we do some things that we shouldn't do, but when you are the victim overall in an entire nation, there is a positive karmic response, and there is a negative karmic response that is affixed to the perpetrators of the suffering, okay? And so I'm saying now that we're on the right trajectory, don't become like sucked into the wrong side of this thing and begin looking at immigrants and pointing at them and calling them illegal. From a global perspective, what goes around comes around. And so find yourself getting arm in arm with people who are negative, people who are hate-filled, hurt-filled. You're talking about what we call illegal aliens. You're talking about people just like you and me. People that have families, people that love, people that desire to be loved, people that are just trying to do their best. What would you do if there were no jobs here in this nation or wherever it is you've come from? You would go find somewhere where there was something to do to support your family. That's what we'd all do as human beings. It just turns out that this is America and Mexico is over there. So let's not be like them and be harsh toward immigrants. Because what goes around, we need to cut loose anything that would move us off of this positive trajectory. I see black folks as well. I saw a woman, she was on that post, that Bill Cosby post, and she was saying, she's German and Italian and black, and her parents taught her to speak proper English, and she's in college, and she was ragging on black folks that didn't use proper English. And I'm like, first of all, she's kind of ignorant because she said that she's German, Italian, and black. Now, Germany is a nation. Italy is a nation. Black is a race. So either you're saying you're German, you're Italian, and you're American, or you're saying you're just mixed race, black and white. But she was confused, and of course I had to let her know that. My wife says I need to stay off of Facebook because I shouldn't be getting myself involved in stuff like that. But I let her, I was going to have more mercy on her and her confusion than she had on folks that were using improper grammar. But so I'm showing you is even black folks are going to be attacking black folks. But we just need to be above that. We need not get sidetracked because we have a mission. We have a mission of education. We have a mission of wellness, of physical wellness, of financial wellness, of spiritual wellness, of relational wellness, of wellness. We're on the right path. Just stay on it. To me, and this is me, but when I look at President Obama and Michelle and their two little kids, they're almost like examples to us. They're like hope to us. Just this is, sometimes, before I was married, I don't have the greatest of taste as far as furniture and putting stuff together. I used to go out when I was single and buy those magazines, Better Homes and Gardens, I guess that's what they call it. And since I didn't know what to do with my apartment, with the living room or the rooms and all, I would look at some of the pictures in these magazines and I'd say, there's a good picture. Might have a basket over here with a blanket thrown over it, or some flowers, or certain kinds of windows with curtains and all that stuff, and how the curtains were fancy. Copy the picture in the book and make my apartment look just like that. So to me, Obama and his wife and his children are just like that to us. For many of us, they seem to be doing things just a little bit better than most of us. Maybe managing their finances, or managing their children, or managing their relationship, or just making the right choices in education and getting a good job, right? And so we can look at them and begin to try to use them as an example, something that we can strive to be like. I know they're only human. But anytime you strive for something like a goal, it's something that is beyond you, and you strive toward it. But once you begin to achieve that, once you begin to reach that goal, you push the goal a little bit further out there. Right now, Obama and his family is pretty much out there for us, that's something that we can strive to be like. But I'm telling you, as we get on this journey of striving to be something that we're not, something that we could be better than we are now, there are going to be distractions by jealous people, that people with other issues, people that are just going to be there trying to jack us up, trying to sidetrack us as counterfeit goals or counterfeit folks, just trying to get us off course. Don't allow yourself to be off course. Don't allow it. You're too important. So if it's a family member that's dragging you down, cut them off. If it's a friend that's been a friend for years and they're dragging you down, cut them off. If it's people, white folks or black folks or other, that are dragging you down that you don't even know, cut them off. Cut off everything around you that would seek to keep you from attaining what's best for your life and for the lives of your family. You can do it. You can make it. It's up to you. You are the only limitation to your success. You can make it.